What's up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and I'm joined by
Gersh. What?
Today, we're here to answer your questions in another jaw-dropping episode of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. And that is what Joffrey Rogers did. A very wholesome name. He asks, tell me about orc attack moons. Like, how the fuck? And are there any left? So what you are referring to is orc rocks and how you can prevent them. So basically, orc rocks are just giant meteors that the orcs have managed to climb aboard on and then are using to travel space. That's just that simple, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if they're lucky, they put little rockets to kind of push them in the right direction, but they go where they please.
Yeah, that's why orcs are seen as a disease, because it's just kind of like random wherever they go. It's not necessarily that they're attracted to a certain planet because of a certain thing.
Well, kind of.
Unless they're highly intelligent or highly capable of creating starships. But most of the orc population is feral because of their just natural tendency to destroy themselves. They always want to see who's best. And feral, or planets where orcs have invaded but they were able to be pushed away, they're always going to have feral orcs. And those feral orcs will grow up. Some of them will be able to conquer the entire planet but won't have a means to escape that planet until they develop, and then they develop like a normal society, except a little heightened because it's their biology that allows them to create weapons and spaceships and stuff like that. But you kind of have to get lucky. It's like when you're playing Pokemon and you're EV and IV training your Pokemon. Some Pokemon have really good EV and IVs. Most of them don't. So you have to constantly keep breeding, and that's what the orcs are. Sometimes you get an orc that has the biological makeup to create a starship. Sometimes you don't. You just have a mech boy who is capable of like creating a rocket to go into the moon, and once they're on the moon, put more rockets and then shoot themselves off. The biggest and baddest mech boy, I think, is an orc named Orchimedes, and he's working with God School Mech Orc Thraka, which we're supposed to get a new model from.
Hopefully.
But he created these things called teleporters. So instead of just crashing into a planet with these giant moon-size space rocks, God School can actually teleport different units into the different areas of wherever he wants to wage war. And that's an example of like a highly advanced orc technology. Whereas like the orc rocks are just random.
Yeah, and there's also a high chance that if there are a bunch of orcs on an asteroid and it crashes into the planet, all the orcs are going to die because it's like they're getting blown up.
Now that the Orc Codex is coming out, I want to build orc terrain, and I want to build orc rock platforms. And while I was doing that, I kind of started thinking about, well, how would the rock crash land on a planet? And what the orcs do is they put fortresses all around these rocks so that when they crash, the fortresses are there, and they basically have a moving fortification, or not a moving fortification, but like a drop pod fortification style thing. But when they're crashing down, how do you know that the fortress is going to be facing the right way?
You don't.
Yeah, so it's challenging to create terrain that makes sense to the lore, but also makes sense to the game. So maybe I'm going to build like towers that are kind of like lopsided and stuff, signifying that the orcs originally created it straight up, but once it landed like this. So now it looks like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, but with orkiness to it. I hope that explains orc rocks. And how do you prevent them? You can blast them.
But then you'll have little tinier rocks with little tiny orcs.
Mm-hmm. And that's even worse.
Mm-hmm.
Because when a grenade goes off in the air, like the shrapnel is more dangerous because it spreads out and it hits a wider area. think of the same thing with orcs. You shoot the orc rock, it explodes, and all these spores get scattered all over your planet.
So there is no way to prevent it. It only gets worse.
Like STDs. Stop scratching. Next question.
Nate Space Props and Cosplay. How can Shadowsun be hunting Farsight? Farsight is about 300 plus years old, and Tau lived to the mid-40s. So shouldn't he be long dead?
True.
Or does he just go into stasis all the time? Cheers. So yeah, Shadowsun goes into stasis, and she only comes out when there is a huge military campaign where the Ethereals need her.
Sort of like Jeepers Creepers.
Exactly, just like Jeepers Creepers. Or It.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then Farsight, he doesn't die because he's got the Dawn Blade that gives him strength, vitality, kind of like Viagra. So it's going to be I wouldn't say never ending, because Shadowsun is aging as she comes out of stasis, but she'll live a prolonged life.
Speaking about Tau, Dragon Punch 903 asks, what do you think that Tau would do if the Ethereals die? Would they continue to spread the greater good or something else?
You'd probably join the Enclaves, because with Farsight being split from the ethereal guidance control, mind control, whatever it is that they're doing, he's already established his Enclaves. He's been a hero already to the Tau from ages past. So I think he would be the next step to the Tau agenda. I think he'll still try to incorporate the greater good into it, but he already knows what the biggest threat to the galaxy is, which is chaos. So it'll probably be more fighting a defensive war, trying to keep his people living. Maybe allying with somebody else? Imperial.
Well, what's interesting about that is, like, I'm connecting it to, like, current culture and current political nations, so basically, because the Ethereals are forcing people to be collective. Mm-hmm. Without that, do you think that the same thing that has happened to, like, the Soviet Union and, like, dictatorships like the one in, is it Chile? No, it's not Chile. Which one is the one with Maduro? Colombia. No, is it Colombia? Argentina? No, it's not Argentina.
I know what you're talking about. I think it is Chile.
Yes, maybe.
There.
Which one's the one that's, like, long and on the coast?
That's mad. No, I think it is, right? Or,
no, that's Chile.
Panama.
No, because by the Panama Canal.
Where's my globe at?
I don't have a globe. This is gonna drive me nuts. But anyways, so whenever dictators die, or whenever, like, the Soviet Union fell, I feel like because power was centralized, it continues to maintain its centralization or whatever. It's centralized within the Ethereals, and you think that once the Ethereals are gone, then all the other castes will share with the power, but I don't think so.
Probably not.
Do you think that the fire caste will then try to dominate the water, earth, and water?
Water, earth, and water? Air?
No. Air, water.
Well, the air caste is all about diplomacy, so if anything, I feel like they'd kind of ally with the strongest nation.
The fire caste?
And I feel right now would be the fire caste, but without the aid of the water caste and the earth caste, because the earth caste is about technology, building, nobody can survive alone. So I feel like, kind of like Avatar, you have the fire nation, which is strong, but all these other three, well, no, because they kind of took over their world.
But yeah, that's the point, though, right? They took over the world. Everything was harmonious because the Avatar was there. Once the Avatar goes away, the Fire Nation gets all crazy, and they do that. So I wonder if that would happen to the Tau Society. So, like, the best, and I think that it didn't happen to, like, the Farsight Enclaves because they have a centralized figurehead, which is Farsight. Mm-hmm. And he can live forever. Without him, then it's nothing. Kind of like, like, whenever you look at any type of, like Lenin or what's his name? Fidel Castro and all them. Once they die, chaos. Even at, like, Alexander the Great or Genghis Khan. Mm-hmm. Once they died, everything gets fractured.
The same thing with Orc society. You have a warlord. Once the warlord gets taken out, you have other warlords that rise up, and it's who's going to take control of the throne.
Mm-hmm.
Just like anything, really.
Well, the orcs though are different though, because might makes right.
True. So the mightiest.
Yeah. So then it just goes on. Next question. That was a long one. That wasn't our first one, was it?
No, that was like the third or fourth.
Next question I have from Logan Douglas. How long has the Emperor known about the xeno races before humanity itself did? And how did he know about them? He knew about chaos before he knew about xenos, I think. Because, of course, he was wondering where his psychic abilities came from. He had visions and all that good stuff. The first aliens encountered by the Emperor were the orcs. And I think he found out about the orcs at the same time that humans found out about orcs.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And then he created the Space Marines specifically to destroy the orcs. Because he saw that, oh, damn, aliens have gotten this sophisticated to the point where, an orc can, with a flick of a wrist, knock a guy out. He needs to create Space Marines that are able to counterattack the strength of the orcs. So he created
Space
Marines.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. And then they discovered Necrons next, right? And the Eldar.
Well, no, Necrons were later. Because, they didn't start actually awakening from their slumber. They saw Necron technology or Necron ruins before they saw the Necrons themselves.
Yeah. I get you.
Please don't.
Last question.
This one's by Daniel Trujillo. Hello, OMS.
Hi.
What are your thoughts about an army consisting primarily of Officio Assassinorum and Adeptus Custodes? Do you think this might work on the tabletop? Love the show, and thank you guys for your efforts.
Yes, especially now that you have transports. Because before, the big problem was, by the time your Adeptus Custodes can get to the front lines, they would have been shot up. But now you have those ships. And now you have bikes.
They got bikes now.
So that's pretty good.
And they could also teleport now, so they could pump themselves up right in front of you, 9 inches away?
Yeah, and then on top of that, you have people firing at you from the back.
You got the Vindicare Assassin.
Yep.
Calexis. Yeah, that seems like a really scary army. It's going to be small and compact, but pretty scary.
Yeah. Well, the fact that it might be elite might be its downfall, though.
Right. Not enough models.
Because you have a sniper, but if you have a squad of 40 boys, it's so.
Right.
There's only 5 turns. But yeah, those are the questions for today. Thank you for sending those questions our way. If you have more questions for us, comment down below.
Yeah. As always, hit us up on our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon pages. And Sound Alchemist.
Gershwan.
And we're out of here.
Oh, I did the